The concept of a continent is familiar, but you may not know that the number of continents on Earth remains a topic of debate. How are continents formed? What are the prominent, interesting, and unique features of each continent? Welcome everyone to today's story. Welcome to Commentator Hi-Ha Story. Simply put, a continent is a large landmass located on the Earth's crust and surrounded by water. Continent is a Sino-Vietnamese term, in which "luc" means inland area or high plain. Means land. The continents occupy about 29% of the Earth. How many continents are there on Earth? According to the common convention in the West, there are 7 continents: Asia, Europe, Africa, North America, South America, Australia, and Antarctica. Within the framework of this video, we will agree that there are 7 continents on Earth. Some other viewpoints suggest that there are only 6 continents, when Eurasia is combined into one, or North America and South America are also combined. For if combining Asia, Europe, North America, and South America, there will only be 5 continents, corresponding to 5 continents. It's hard to say right or wrong, because each side has their own reasoning. A continent is not merely a purely geographical term but also carries cultural and political significance. For example, Europe and Asia are essentially on the same massive landmass, but are very different culturally and politically. Islands near a continent are often considered part of that continent. However, there are special cases like Hawaii, which is isolated in the Pacific Ocean and does not geographically belong to any continent. And it was not since the Earth formed that there have been 7 continents. On Earth, there once existed a supercontinent that broke apart about 200 million years ago. This supercontinent is nearly C-shaped, stretching across the equator and surrounded by the ocean. Because the supercontinent is so vast, the climate heat inland is very dry and receives extremely little rainfall. Due to the continuous supercontinent, land animals could migrate freely from south to north and vice versa. To this day, as you are watching this video, the continents continue to change their positions. For example, North America and Europe are moving apart at a rate of about 2.5 centimeters per year. South America and Africa are moving apart at a rate of about 3 centimeters per year. Each year, 3 centimeters is only equivalent to the speed of human fingernail growth. But with Earth's long history, over many years, millions of years, even billions of years, everything will be very different. There is a lot of evidence that the continents were once connected and then separated. A typical piece of evidence is that the coastlines of South America and Africa can fit perfectly together. It's like a puzzle game. Now we will move on to the 7 continents, each with its own unique features. Each continent has its own setting points. First is the Asian continent, which is the largest and most populous continent. Russia, the largest country in the world, has most of its area located on this continent. The 2 most populous countries in the world, India and China, are both located in the Asian continent. It's the largest continent in terms of both area and population, with over 4.6 billion people, accounting for more than half of the Earth. Here, there are also many large and populous cities in the world. Mega cities like Delhi, Tokyo, Shanghai, or Beijing. This place also has some wealthy and prosperous countries. Qatar, a small country on the Arabian Peninsula, is one of the richest countries in the world recently. Thanks to income from oil exploitation, the industry has brought them a prosperous life. Saudi Arabia is also on the rise, while the United Arab Emirates stands out with its unique architectural works. Bahrain is also one of the wealthiest countries on the planet, thanks to its massive oil reserves. In Asia, there are over 2,300 languages spoken. However, most of these languages are spoken only by small groups, sometimes just a few thousand people. The most common language is still Chinese. This is also the most spoken language globally, with over 1.4 billion users. The second continent is Africa, which is the continent with the most countries. There are a total of 54 countries in the continent of Africa, and here are the 54 fully recognized independent countries according to the 2023 update. Many people think Asia is the continent with the most countries, but it turns out that's not the case. Asia has 48 independent countries, the rest are just territories. Sometimes they claim to be an independent country but are not widely recognized. A typical example is Taiwan. Returning to Africa, this continent has over 1.3 billion people living there. Major representative cities include Lagos in Nigeria and Cairo in Egypt. That's the largest desert, the Sahara, in the world. It is estimated that Africa provides 95% of the world's diamonds and 50% of its gold. The oldest human fossils such as bones and skulls have also been found here. This place is considered the cradle of humanity. Third is the North American continent, a fairly homogeneous continent. Approximately nearly 600 million people are living in North America is also home to the world's largest Christian community. Because about 80% of the population in Canada, the US, and Mexico follow Christianity. North America also has the largest number of English speakers as a first language. Over 230 million people use English proficiently as a second language. The fourth continent is South America with abundant nature. South America possesses many natural. The longest mountain range is the Andes running along South America. The highest waterfall is Angel Falls in Venezuela. And there is the driest place on Earth, which is the Atacama Desert in Chile. As well as having the world's largest tropical rainforest, the Amazon. Approximately over 430 million people are living in Brazil is the largest and most populous country in South America. Before the 16th century, South America was home to many indigenous tribes. Among them, the Incas were the most powerful. They built a highly organized empire. During its peak, this empire occupied most of South America's area. They developed a brilliant agricultural culture around the Andes region. However, Europeans arrived and changed many things. The fifth continent, the wealthiest continent, is Europe. Europe and Asia are separated by the Ural Mountains and the Caspian Sea. Europe is considered the wealthiest and most prosperous continent. However, the eastern region is slightly less developed than the western region. According to the United Nations, Europe has a total of 44 countries. 5 European countries are among the top 10 smallest countries in the world. San Marino, Liechtenstein, Monaco, Malta, Vatican. In general, speaking of Europe means speaking of prosperity and development. The sixth continent, Antarctica, is the coldest continent on the planet. And also the only continent without indigenous inhabitants. In Antarctica, there are only research stations for scientists and no permanent settlements. Antarctica is almost entirely covered by ice. 90% of the world's ice, equivalent to 70% of fresh water, is located in Antarctica. If all this ice melts, sea levels would rise by about 60 meters. On average, Antarctica is the coldest, driest, windiest, and highest continent among all the continents on the planet. Please don't be mistaken, these are average dates. Antarctica is also the last continent to be discovered and settled by humans. It wasn't until the early 20th century that this continent was first observed by a Russian expedition. And finally, the smallest continent on the planet is Australia with a total area of 8.6 million square kilometers. This continent has an arid climate, with most of its area being desert. The creatures here have many unique features thanks to that isolation. Eucalyptus and acacia trees commonly grow in many places. There are many strange animal species and numerous marsupials, typically kangaroos. The most famous part of the Australian continent is Australia, a country with a developed economy. And that also marks the end of today's story, the story about the continents on Earth. To reiterate, in this video we agree that there are 7 continents. There are other viewpoints that suggest there are 6 continents or 5 continents. That's due to different calculation methods and references. Thank you for your interest in following this story. If you found it interesting, you can subscribe to the Hidden Pleasure channel, turn on notifications, and now, please don't say goodbye.